Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Freaks with a Z, the podcast all about movies. Each episode is about a specific movie, which we'll get to this episode's movie in a little bit. But first, it's time once again for the fan vote. People recommend movies for us to watch, and you, the listener, get to vote on one of four to make it into the episode after Callus's pick. The vote runs all through the weekend, so if you want to get your voice heard, or if you want us to watch a specific movie, go ahead and go over to my Twitter at Yemmy the Ferret and look for the poll, which will be in the replies to the promotional post for the episode. We got four movies here, one new one. And the new one is Dune, the newer Dune movie, which was recommended by Kenobi when I believe he was on the podcast. He recommended that. Also, we have returning Hard Boiled, which was recommended by Antiskew. The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, which was recommended by Player 2, and The Irishman, which was recommended by KG Productions. If you want to go over to my Twitter account and vote for any of those, be my guest. Speaking of which, I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I'm here with...
Trouble Waffles.
Tay, where's my truck Mation?
And Callus the Lightning.
I totally whiffed. I forgot to say a name. My bad.
There's always
Not too late.
that outro that you can change.
It might be too late. It might be. You know what? I am Yemmy Burton. There we go. Perfect.
Tim Burton?
Well, the character's name
Like
is
Jack Burton.
Yeah. So, how's everyone doing?
Doing good.
Doing pretty good.
Pretty
Woke
good.
up to some snow this morning, so that's kind of sad.
Yep, snowing around here too, and the plow truck already knocked down 3 mailboxes on my street. So he must have
Oh,
been
wow.
either really drunk or really tired.
Probably both.
Probably both.
Yep.
Maybe he's
that's
tired
me
of
right
being
there.
drunk.
Oh, besides the drunk part, I'm just tired.
It's the first snow of the year. Like he can't be pissed about his job yet. You know, like it's just it's the first one. Now talk to me on like the 10th snow of the year, and then you can start complaining and knocking down mailboxes. But the first snow of the year, come on.
Yeah, at least it wasn't yours.
That's true. Mine is a little wobbly now. So
Uh-oh.
They want to
it
chain
did get
that
hit.
down before winter.
Chain.
Or whatever.
I'm gonna
Like
probably put
post
some dirt in the post, but I'm not gonna chain it down.
This is why you should have those brick mailboxes, you know?
Do you have a brick mailbox?
I do not know.
Oh,
But
okay.
I also don't have to worry about snow plows. So.
That's true.
That is very true.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about a movie that doesn't have any snow in it. Tay, go ahead and introduce the movie for us.
Sure. It's a movie with a lot of rain called Big Trouble in Little China, made in 1986, directed by John Carpenter, stars Kurt Russell, Kim Cattrall, Dennis Dunn, James Hong, Victor Wong, and a bunch of other people. The synopsis for the movie is a rough and tumble trucker and his sidekick face off with an ancient sorcerer in a supernatural battle beneath Chinatown. I'd like to swap that and say, an Asian restaurant owner and his sidekick, a rough and tumble trucker. But, whatever. Kurt Russell got top billing. Let's start with the discussion on what did you guys think of like the kung fu like fighting scenes?
I thought it was funny. I thought it was, not funny, but it was like funny. I don't know, like how to explain it. Like
it was definitely funny, as in like, oh, it looks like these guys watched a kung fu movie and we're like, we could
Yeah.
do that.
yeah,
They were fun, but not very well choreographed.
Yeah, I was wondering what Callus was going to think, being the
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jackie Chan fan of the group. Well, I mean, we're all Jackie Chan fans.
yeah. And
He's
after
been the
seeing
longest running.
Damn it. Yeah.
after seeing so many Jackie Chan movies of the last few months with you guys, was watching this and was like, man, like there's so many cuts and just bad choreography, and I feel like they were just like, yeah, again, I've
Yeah.
seen a kung fu movie. I know how to do kung fu.
And there's like just so many things just done out of just comedy,
Yeah,
for comedy effect, like not really. I guess they weren't like really trying to take it too serious.
for sure. They're definitely not trying to take it seriously.
Yeah, it was like watching the kung fu was like maybe watching it through the eyes of the main character who like didn't really know what was going on.
Mm.
But I would have liked to see some better choreography in there. Like there was a lot of fun parts in the movie. Don't get me wrong. Like the ending part where they're all underground fighting, I felt like that was like really fun. But
Yeah,
for the most part, like the martial arts wasn't really the star of the show. It was more Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, his fumbling around and like being taken out of the fight for various reasons.
yeah. Which is why I'm like, can you say he did? Like, yeah, he killed him at the end. Spoilers for the end.
Well,
Mm.
spoiler.
But it's like that's it. That's all he did. He caught a knife and threw it back.
Which is a very impressive move
It is a very
considering
impressive moment for sure, and I
considering the
like,
previous move he just did.
yeah, and what I do like that they set it up that he had these really good reflexes like throughout the movie. You see him catch the bottle. That might have been it. I don't remember.
Oh,
Even
that's
though I just
true.
watched it
Yeah,
like an hour ago.
that
But
is a
yeah,
good
I
point.
mean,
Like that's a very good callback to like a very good red herring to the ending of like him catching the bottle like that.
yeah, no, I think they did a good job setting up that he has really good reflexes. But I feel like he kills the main bad guy, but then the three supernatural guys, which never really get explained either. Um,
Mhm.
they're still around and doing stuff. It's like the movie's not over. So
Fun fact before we continue: did you guys know that I was part of a movies podcast 13 years ago? And
what?
one of the movies we reviewed is Big Trouble in Little China.
So you didn't have to worry watch the movie, huh?
Yes, exactly.
Is
So I'm
that
gonna actually,
is
and I
that a
don't
way
even need
of
to
you saying
be
you didn't
here.
rewatch it?
I'm gonna walk away right now. You guys can reuse the footage of the what I said originally 13 years ago.
What
So
was the
yeah,
Yeah,
name of
I'm
the
gonna go ahead.
podcast?
Oh, it's called it's called the Hardcast.
the
The
hard
hard
cast.
cast.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, "Oh, it's called Film Freaks," but with an S.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was
that's
the
what I should
original.
have said.
Well,
But
I guess the
anyways,
I guess the first thing I would like to say is everyone except for Kurt Russell, poor acting. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh man, like the damsel in distress, I forget her name,
Kim Cattrall.
Kim Cattrall.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
was so bad, and it took me out of the movie every time she opened her mouth. I was like, oh,
Yes.
I feel bad, but she is really, really not doing a good performance in this
I
movie. Like
f-
above everyone else who is like kind of phoning it in for a lot of it. Like she was the worst.
mm,
I felt like anytime she talked, she was like trying to do this weird like voice, like accent voice or something, but it just seemed fake, and then the acting on top of it was just like, oh, God, shut up.
Yeah, fake is a good word for her because that's all I saw was like someone in a movie, and I didn't see an act like a character. I saw someone in a movie trying to act.
Yeah, I mean, I believe this was one of her first movies. I think I don't know. I can look. I have it right here. I know
she
she
has
did like a
gone.
like a TV show. I mean,
Yeah,
she
Sex and the
obviously
City.
got better because I don't
That's
know.
what I was gonna say. Like she has gone through a wild change because didn't even recognize this was the same actor as the girl from Sex and the City, which
Yeah,
is insane because like yeah, it's like complete night and day difference.
Well, the part where they go under the water, where they're getting chased underground, and they go through the little tunnel, and she's like, I think it was her, and she's like, "Are you Jack? Are you Jack?" It was just like, oh my god, like how do you not know? Like obviously you know which one he is, so why are you asking them?
well,
Like
no, it's like
she's like,
she
shut up.
wasn't. She wasn't. They didn't keep asking for Jack. Like she asked, like, "Oh, do you know where so and so is?" And then they'd move on, and then that person would pop up, and then she would ask about the next person. But it's like I don't
And
know.
then
It
the
was
next
yeah,
person
it was
pop up.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Either way,
was meant as a comedic scene, but just it was kind of a mess.
okay. So she did a lot of TV movies and TV series. until back in the 70s. She must have been like super young then.
Wow.
She was in Porky's.
Really?
So I guess
What?
yeah. 1980, I guess, is when she started doing movies, and some more TV series and TV movies. And then yep, she was in Mannequin. After this, Big Trouble in China was this. So yeah, she was in a few movies before this. So I don't know. She just did a really bad job.
Yeah, wasn't great. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. But I mean, Kurt Russell was like he had so much fun with this movie. Like
Yeah, I feel like
anytime
he
he was
did.
on screen, I just loved. He was eating it up, you know.
Yeah.
Like
And I
compare
love
this to his performance in like Escape from New York or something like that, and I felt like he did like this is such a better character for him
hmm.
than those two movies. I mean, even though those two are good, don't get me wrong. Like I like those two, but I like him better in this than Escape from New York, but not as much as The Thing. So kind of
Mhm.
a middle
Yeah.
ground here.
I was gonna say like one of the scenes that I liked with Jack Russell is when he's like rolling backwards in the wheelchair. And he's about
Yeah.
to fall down, but he's like struggling to like make his way back up, and everything's just like overly exaggerated. But I just love the way he acted it.
It's Kurt Russell, not Jack.
Yeah. Jack Burton, Kurt Russell.
Yeah, you mixed them up.
No,
Together, I
right.
should
Well,
Well, they're the
Jack,
same
Jack
person.
Burton,
We knew
Kurt
who we were
Russell,
talking
Whatever.
Kurt
Yeah.
Barton, same thing.
say. But yeah,
Um,
like that. There was a lot of fun scenes. Like I think that whole trap room scene with they had the blindfolds on and stuff like that. You know, was fun, and it all ended with him rolling backwards down the corridor. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of the opposite there. Just for that scene, I thought the wheelchair scene was a little like too over the top, where I was just like, "This is kind of unbelievable
so
now."
what'd you think about the guy inflating and exploding then?
That was unbelievable to you, and the people flying around in lightning, and
Oh well,
that's
they
what's
were
unbelievable to you.
demigods. No, just as far as like stunts go, I mean, obviously the whole movie's unbelievable. But it's a movie; it's fun. And like I said, it was a fun scene, but it's like, why don't you just put your feet down?
He doesn't want to scuff his boots. So I go,
Oh.
Yeah, I can't ruin the boots. Those are new.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, hello.
But no, it was fun. It was a fun movie. Fun scene. The whole movie
Yeah,
was fun, but
I definitely agree that he just every scene he was just like going all out like in the scenes, but like he was having fun going all out and he was
yeah,
being serious at the same time. So definitely, now I want to ask him and see if he says this movie was his most fun movie.
I think he was having more fun in that movie where he was Santa Claus.
yeah,
I forget what that one's
Yeah.
called, but you know he seemed to be having a good time in that one too. But this is definitely up there for like Kurt Russell fun performances and not serious performances. You know,
And maybe that's like he's like counteracting. Maybe he knew that other actors are that good, so he's like, you know what, I'm gonna try to make it fun, and he did a good job.
yeah.
I'm glad you did.
I do, I do find it weird that I guess the sidekick in quotes, um, he did a fine job, I guess, but like, just he seems like very normal. He's just a restaurant owner, and then suddenly it's just like, but he's Chinese, so he knows kung fu. Like middle of the movie, he starts just throwing out all this like kung fu stuff. You're like,
Yeah, all of a sudden
what?
he's like a martial arts master and taking
Yeah.
down on like 4 guys at once.
You're just like, where did this come from? Why didn't you do this earlier?
yeah.
And it just,
And then
it just
by-
seemed a little too stereotypical. It's like, well, he's Chinese, so of course he knows kung fu.
And it just kept increasing. Like by the end of the movie, he's like
Yeah.
flying through the air, like just
That I
Fighting
blame.
guys.
I think was the potion he drank. It's like, okay, fine, yeah. Now he's got flying powers. But it was weird that him and the demigod, was that one thunder? I don't know, or lightning. They were just like flying back and forth. It's like, why don't you guys just land and fight? why
I know,
why do
right?
you have to jump, smack once in the air? And yeah, whatever. It was it was camp. It was just for fun. So I feel like it was kind of almost trying to be like a parody of kung fu
Kung Fu,
movies.
yeah.
That's kind of how I saw it too. Like some fights, they were trying to be a little bit more serious with it, but other fights were just like, okay, yeah, let's just throw these jokes in just for fun. But speaking of the weather effects, guys, should we talk about how this movie inspired Raiden from Mortal Kombat, and also possibly Shang Tsung?
Did it?
Yeah, I
I'm
don't know.
thinking it did. I mean, it definitely inspired Raiden,
I
and
feel
I'm
like that
thinking
would be more
also,
of a Yummy question.
I'm looking up now. The game came out in 1992, so it's very possible that Raiden, at least Raiden, was inspired. But also Shang-Chi. Wait, what was his name?
Shang Tsung.
Shang-Chi. Sing Sung. He does have that power ability where he like captures people's souls and uses them to keep young. So yeah, both those characters probably were
Yeah.
inspired by
Well,
this movie.
I think that those characters are more just in like Chinese folklore. Like I don't think I think this movie was taken from Chinese folklore, not necessarily inspired by Mortal
Well, it seemed like
Kombat.
they were taking a lot from folklore. Like it wasn't just
Yeah.
one particular like.
So
Right.
I
But
wouldn't say Mortal
this
Kombat
movie,
or Mortal Kombat was inspired by this so much as they both just took from the same source material.
no, I think they did. Like at one point, I think one of the creators, John Tobias, whatever his name is, I think he did mention that this movie did directly inspired at least one of them, at least Raiden.
Yeah, Raiden for sure. I mean, he looked pretty spot on. When he originally came up, I was like, why is Raiden in this movie? What the heck?
Yeah.
Then I realized, oh wait, this is from '86, and that game came out in '92. So,
Yeah.
but I
Sounds cool.
like those guys. I think they needed more screen time. They were cool. I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the lightning effects were actually pretty good. They still hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
All the
And
just
so,
effects in the movie was pretty good.
not all of them, but a lot of them.
yeah. I just think I was thought it was weird. Like they show up and you're like, okay, who are these guys? And they work for this sorcerer guy, and you're like, okay, fine. And then suddenly they just switch to like suits, and you're like,
Yeah.
but why? What? Why aren't you wearing your then why are you wearing a cool costume? And then they go back to the cool costumes at the end. You're like, okay, okay, guess.
I did laugh
Yeah.
when I saw the guy just take off his hat, and then the next time we saw him, he's just like full suited up.
Yeah, it was weird.
There
But
was
I
a
mean,
lot of random scenes in this movie that were just kind of like, okay. But the
yeah.
movie was so fun. It was just like, I was like, hey, whatever.
Yeah, there were some scenes that like I feel like were kind of they could have been attached to like a different scene. Like there's this part where they kind of switch back and forth between the underground and above ground like several times. And I was like, you could have just had like one scene for underground and one scene above ground. Like we didn't need like boom, 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 boom. Um,
Yeah.
maybe that's more of a problem with like the pacing rather than I don't know. It was just kind of weird. Sometimes you had like a random scene where someone said like one line and then it went back to the other thing that was happening.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then just that one monster, just like after that monster, we got a bunch of other monsters, but it was just weird suddenly to have a monster just like, oh, we've got a furry, like weird faced monster.
Yeah,
And
his
then,
face never moved.
yeah.
Weird.
Which,
Very,
okay. And
very subtle
then other
movements.
monsters show up, and you're like, okay, I guess this is now a monster movie.
Yeah, I did not remember at all that giant underground spider that was there for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Should have
And
seen more
just
of
like
that.
grabbed a
Like,
guy and ran. And it was like, and then he uses magic. He's like, it won't come back now. Like, okay, but a guy just died. Couldn't you? There were so many times that guy did things where it's like, if you had done that like 10 seconds earlier, that would have solved so many problems.
Well, he couldn't be sure as to what was going to attack him. Maybe that spell was
Yeah,
only for giant spiders.
fair. At the end, though, like the guards show up and they all start shooting at Jack, and as he's running away, and then like by the time Jack makes it to the truck in safety, then he throws a thing to stop them.
That's another thing. The use of guns in this movie
Yeah,
kind
there
of
was a
weird.
lot. Yeah.
yeah.
Like when like at the beginning, like that first fight where they're going through the alley and the two sides are facing off, all of a sudden they like pull out guns and I'm like, "Oh, wait, what? Why even have swords if you have guns?" Like,
Right?
I was a little bit confused at that scene too. Like now I understand it now after like the whole events, but like the raiding guy shows up. It seems like both sides are afraid of him, but he's actually on the side of the red and black guys,
Yeah.
and he starts slaughtering I don't know.
Everybody.
It was
I
a little
can,
bit confusing at first.
yeah, it kind of looked like he
Yeah.
was slaughtering both sides
Yeah,
for a
like when he
minute
first
in the
showed
beginning.
up, I was like, "Oh, this guy is just killing both of them." And so here's the main bad guy when you see Ben Lowe or whatever show up, and then it turns out they all work with the Red. I'm like, but what?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I also find it pretty funny that this whole movie is just a big roundabout way of Jack trying to get his truck back. Like that's the main driving point of the plot.
yeah,
That's what I wanted to bring up. Like, I do appreciate the fact that, like, in these type of movies, like the stakes are super high to where, like, they're trying to save the world or save the town or save their loved one. But Jack, he's just worried about his truck and he wants to help his friend save the girl. That's it. Like, for him, it's like very low stakes. Up, instead of like
yeah.
everyone else whose stakes is much higher.
He's just like, I mean, is Dude, Where's My Car just a remake of this movie then?
That's Big Trouble in Little China for stoners,
Yeah,
Yeah, basically.
What about the
yeah,
music? Guys like the music?
yeah,
Had like that 80s synth kind of vibe going on.
yeah. I mean, it was 80s synth music.
I
I'm a
didn't even
sucker
notice
for
it.
80s synth, so
Like
I
I
really
heard,
enjoyed it.
I noticed it, but it wasn't like, oh wow, this is so good. But it wasn't like, oh, this is awful. It was just, yeah, that's
Well, it's
80s
kind of like
music.
it's a classic like John Carpenter type of soundtrack. Very similar vibes to The Thing and to like Halloween. Really, really enjoyable synth soundtrack that I guess could be swapped out for any of those other movies I just mentioned because it is very similar. But I always enjoy the '80s style synth wave.
Yeah,
Hmm. And
Yeah, I
this is like
really
such a
didn't notice the music. So
You guys
yeah,
gotta
and
start
this is
listening
like
to the
a
music. This one was a good soundtrack. I would recommend listening to this one.
mm. I noticed that a lot like in the beginning, that intro song was like made very apparent, but yeah, from then on it was kind of just like blended in to the rest of the movie, which I guess is good for the movie.
you just wanted this mood setting, not necessarily
Well, the one that comes to
like,
mind is like Jack appears in the doorway with the gun and the knife in his hand or whatever, and all of a sudden you get like that do 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 do. I just love that so much. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie, for music wise.
fair. It's fair. Um, did anyone else like? I feel like the plot of this movie was kind of confusing,
Convoluted, you could say.
convoluted for sure. And I feel like anytime like we just kept hearing the same like backstory like information, the history like over and over. Is like that one guy was just like, oh, this is what's going on, and every time Jack's like, no, we don't care, shut up. It's like, I'd like to kind of know what's going on.
Yeah, the whole like first part of the movie is just really just plot heavy, and it's like really confusing. Egg's trying to
Yeah,
explain the plot, his friends trying to explain the plot, and it's like I'm not following. And that's kind of how
yeah,
Kurt Russell was too. Like he really wasn't following either. So we're kind of in his shoes.
Yeah, it's true.
yeah.
Maybe it was done on purpose.
Probably
Hopefully,
I'd believe it.
Hopefully.
I choose to believe it. How about that?
yeah.
Yeah, because like this whole plot revolves everything that's going around Kurt Russell, but
Yeah.
he's just like someone that just happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, so nothing actually involves him.
Yeah.
And
Like,
He
I
he's
just
just
wanted
definitely
his
thrown in the
money,
middle of it.
and
he
then
wanted
got
his
dragged into
money
it.
and truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like at the end he was like, I'm rich now. It's like, you got like $3,000.
well, back then, that's a lot of money for them.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of money back now. Um,
But was it
but
yen? I didn't think it was. I thought it was like yen. Like that's like 3,000 yen is like what, $5 in America?
30 bucks
no,
maybe.
$30, yeah. But it wasn't yen. It was definitely American dollars. That's what he was had at the beginning. But yeah. The other thing I was about to say was like I find I get the idea. Like it's like okay, we have this ancient like general sorcerer emperor guy or whatever who was cursed to live like a half life. Unless he can get married, he'll get his life back. Whatever. It's like, okay, I get that. Why do you have these 3 demigods working for you though? And how do you have them working for you? Who were they? Besides the embodiment of rain, thunder, and lightning, I guess, which wasn't 100% clear. Besides lightning,
Wasn't. I don't know.
like I saw I was like, okay, yeah, this is lightning guy. And, like for thunder, I was like, is he supposed to be wind or
It
what?
just seemed to me like they were all 3 of them was just lightning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were just demigods, and why they were there, no one knows.
I call them the weather effects.
Maybe maybe it's because he's been around for so long that they kind of went, oh, I kind of like this guy.
Maybe
I
because
love
like
his long fingernails and his coke
Yeah.
pinky nail.
yeah,
Hmm.
I mean they clearly weren't like tied to him in any way because when he died, they were still around.
Yeah.
Besides the one that got stabbed earlier, I guess, which is weird because it's like, all right, so bullets don't pierce these guys, but swords do.
I don't know.
Don't
Guess.
ask me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's weird.
Maybe it's because swords are ancient and they're ancient and
Or
guns are new.
maybe they became also mortal after the sorcerer became mortal.
No, I was thinking about it too. Like that could have been it too.
Yeah.
Where, like,
But doesn't the sword guy die
them.
before he gets
No,
married?
he
So he cuts in
he
half.
he's cut in half after he becomes mortal.
Oh, well, there you go. There's the explanation.
I guess, yeah, maybe so. I mean, we'll never know for sure because it's not explained well. But
Yeah.
We just explained it. We don't need to research it further. That's the explanation.
There
yeah,
you go.
it's a good explanation as any, I guess.
Yeah, I also like how as soon as he becomes like human, he dies. Like,
Yeah.
like oops. maybe should have waited like a second longer or something. Yeah.
And did it have to be a girl with green eyes, or is that just what he preferred? Because he had
think it had to be.
I think it had to be like
Okay.
a girl with green eyes, but I thought it was supposed to be like a Chinese girl with green eyes, not or an Asian girl with green eyes,
Yeah.
not just any old girl with green eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
He's like, I'm gonna
'Cause, I
sacrifice
mean-
you, and I'm gonna keep you, and that.
Because there's definitely have been plenty of other girls with green eyes in the past 2,000 years. So why
Yeah.
why does Gracie work all of a sudden?
I don't know. Maybe he just wasn't turned on until he saw those 2 girls. I don't know.
Or just maybe he wasn't looking. I mean, he said he was looking, but like, how hard was he looking? Like I've checked 2 girls.
I'm sure
okay?
he was very hard when he was looking.
Oh,
Yeah.
Speaking of
That's
which,
fair.
Callus, new waifu.
Yes, new
New
waifu,
waifu,
indeed.
Which one, Callus?
Definitely leaning towards the Asian girl with green eyes.
The Asian girl with green contacts,
Yes, the green contest. I mean,
and Kim Cattrall with green contacts.
Why
That's
can't
fine.
they all be? Just all
they're all
waifus.
waifus. You know what? Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
waifus, including
Wong, waifu.
Margot. Also.
Kurt Russell,
Waifu.
Waifu. Egg.
You, the listener,
That's Victor Wong.
waifu.
Victor Wong was also in Tremors. I recognized him from
That's
that.
right.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was like, I recognize him from Gremlins, but I was like, I know I've seen him in other stuff, but I couldn't remember what.
Yeah,
He's
I
also
thought I
in
recognized him.
3 Ninjas Fight Back. I think that's what it's called.
Or
Yeah, he's in, like,
Surf
all the Free
Ninjas,
Ninja
or
movies. But
any other scenes you guys or things you can think of to talk about?
I just liked all the effects in the movie. I think that most of them were good. Like there's one effect where like the ghoulish version of the soul sucking guy was like hovering towards the girls, and he like went through a wall. And I was like, damn, that was actually really well done. Like it was seamless. I was very impressed most of the time for the movie.
Most of the
The
time.
one that didn't hold up was that monster that was like walking around, because the face was just so plastic looking, and
Yeah.
like it just kind of looked like a guy in a suit. Like, okay, like maybe just take this out of the movie. And
Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you this, but it was a guy in a suit.
I know it was like, but it
Oh.
was like SpongeBob quality. You know how like
Yeah.
the guy in the gorilla suit shows up in SpongeBob. That's what I was thinking of when he came onto screen. I'm like, is that Patrick Star underneath there? Like, but
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, I mean, most of the stuff was really well
Yeah,
done.
it was
Like
pretty
the
good.
underground was designed really well, as we stated before. Like the lightning effects on Thunder or whatever his name was, Raiden, was really good. The most of the stuff really holds up in this movie, which you can't
Yeah,
say for every '80s movie. That's for sure.
it's true.
Yeah.
I do think it's well, the ones that did not hold up, I think, was their green explosions. Those didn't look good.
Yeah.
And I do find it funny that when they in the wedding chapel area, I guess we'll call it, like there's just neon lights everywhere. Like you can tell they just have a
Yeah, it
statue
was
wrapped with
weird.
neon lights. Like I thought it was a cool effect, but at the same time, it's like, but those are just neon lights. Like, are they real neon lights? Are they supposed to be magical?
Definitely
And
just
I'm
look
pretty
like
sure they were
regular
just
neon
supposed
lights.
to. Yeah, I think they were just supposed to neon lights because when you see the statue get destroyed, you see the lights like fall down and stuff. So I'm like, who decorated this room? It's cool, but man,
Yeah, it's funny to think like a 2,000-year-old demigod wanted to decorate his temple with neon lights.
yeah.
Hey, don't judge.
I mean, if I was a 2,000-year demigod, I might. I mean, we have
Yeah.
LEDs now, which are better, but
Strobe lights. Put a disco ball in there.
ooh, disco ball, yeah.
There you go. One of my favorite lines, or not favorite, but like I thought it was really funny how when they were underground, Jack was like, "What is this black stuff?" And then Egg is like, "Oh, it's the black blood of the earth." So he's like, "What, oil?" And
Yeah.
Egg is like, "No, it's black blood of the earth." And then let's say no more explanation from there.
And then later, there's like, oh, there's something living in this water. I thought it was the black blood of the earth.
Back when I originally saw this with my original podcast crew 13 years ago, one of the things we did like for weeks after we saw this movie is we pointed at each other with our palms, doing the L shape with the palms of our hands,
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
like the gang members kept doing to each other.
Hmm.
For some reason, we thought that was super funny every time they did it to each other.
Turns out that's actually like flipping people off in Chinese, and they just kept flipping off Kurt Russell. He's just like, yeah, so cool.
Callus, do you guys do ratings like we do for your other podcast?
Yeah, I think so.
Would you rate
I have no idea.
it?
Well, I need you to go back, find that podcast from 13 years ago, and find out what your rating was.
Oh, that's the thing. Like, it doesn't exist anymore. Only the YouTube videos exist, which back then only 10 minutes were allowed in YouTube. So, like,
Yeah, I remember that.
none of our podcasts went past 10 minutes,
So it's just
or the
basically
ones that are saved.
this movie was decently good for me. How about for you guys? All right, well, that's the show.
No, I mean, we had like full recordings, but we put it on a website, which is no longer.
Oh,
up.
gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
So on
Man.
YouTube, it was like Big Trouble in Little China, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3.
Oh, yeah, that's how.
That's what we would have had to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Part
I remember
7,
having
part
to do that back in
13.
the day.
Part
Yeah, man.
170.
I keep thinking like 13 years ago. I'm like, oh yeah, that was like 2008 or something. It's like, no, that was 2000. I guess 2010 is not far off from 2008.
It's around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Close.
Well,
Yeah, any other
anything
particular
else?
scenes? Let me think.
It was a shorter movie, so
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else to say because I kind of like I watched this like 2 weeks ago at this point, so I'm kind of like a little blurry on some things. I remember the most fun parts, but
yeah.
the stuff that was kind of like annoying or confusing, I just kind of forgot about.
Your brain's like, you don't need this information. Get it out of here.
You just need Kurt Russell standing in the doorway with the synth music playing. Okay, that's all you need from this movie.
Pretty much,
I'm
yeah.
gonna
There you
make a
go.
10-hour loop of that just for you, Yemi.
Thank you.
You'll have it on repeat. All right, let's move on to our ratings.
Okay, I guess I'll start, as is tradition. So overall, it is a fun movie. It didn't hold up quite as well as like the first time I saw it. Like I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh, it was a pretty fun movie." And this time I'm like, it was okay. There were certainly some fun moments. Kurt Russell did a good job. Everyone else kind of brought it down, and then the confusing plot a little bit was I guess more noticeable this time. Where I was just like, "What?" Music was fine, as I know Yummy really liked it, but yeah, I didn't like I said I didn't notice it a whole lot. And then just going, yeah, that's an '80s movie music, and yeah, effects held up pretty well for the most part. Like I said, there was a few ones in there that I was just like, yeah, that's not great. Like I said, the green explosions they kept using. But overall, I'll give this movie a 3 out of 5.
Alrighty,
Okay.
well, I will go next. Um, yeah, the movie was definitely a lot of fun. I didn't mind the bad effects too much. I kind of like knew what I was already getting to since I've seen it several times throughout the years. Last time it was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. But yeah, it's like one a movie that I enjoy watching every couple of years. I wouldn't mind watching it again. Like later on, and it's a fun movie overall. I like Kurt Russell a lot, and yeah, the acting from other actors brings it down, and like some of the effects don't hold up as well. But like I said, that really doesn't affect me that much. So for me, I would give it a 4 out of 5.
Okie dokie. Um, yeah, I found the movie really enjoyable. Like I said before, I thought that the effects held up really well, except for like maybe one or two. I like the soundtrack. Really like the soundtrack. I thought Kurt Russell was the main star of this show. I mean, even though there were some other actors who did an okay job, it was mostly like, kind of taking me out of the movie with some of these performances. But I think the main reason you watch this is for the action and for Kurt Russell and for the effects and stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun with it. It took it took like I don't know a minute to get going. After all the like exposition dumps were done, but once you kind of got going, it was a really fun time. A lot of fun scenes. So I was debating between a 3.5 and a 4, but I think I'm gonna give it a 4. I think it was fun enough, and I'd definitely watch it again eventually down the road.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. It was a fun movie. Kurt Russell was definitely the star. He really had fun throughout the movie, and he really put it all out there while having fun at the same time. The other actors didn't care for as much. I love the fighting style and all that, and a little too much of guns. I don't I didn't really get that part, but the plot was also a little bit confusing as well. But overall, it was a fun watch. It was a fun, quick action movie with comedy in it that I really enjoyed. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah,
Cool.
alrighty. So, Callus, what's the next movie you
Yes.
got for us?
Well, Yemi, I've decided to pick a movie that I would consider probably one of my favorites. I haven't seen it in a while. And that movie is Crimson Tide, released in 1995, directed by Tony Scott. It stars Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington, along with Viggo Mortensen, James Gandolfini, George Dussuns, and many others. And the movie is about, let's see, on a U.S. nuclear missile sub, a young first officer stages a mutiny to prevent his trigger-happy captain from launching his missiles before confirming his orders to do so. And if you guys have Amazon Prime, you can watch it there, included with Prime.
Oh, good.
Good.
Cool. This was already on my list, so perfect.
Perfect. You haven't
The
seen it?
year I was
Have any of you
born,
guys seen
too.
it?
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Great pick then for me, for you guys.
Yes, seems interesting. Definitely looking forward to that.
I will be the judge of if it was a great pick, Callus.
Uh-oh. I'm going to be so nervous.
All right. Well, if you don't want to be spoiled for Crimson Tide from 1995, make sure you watch that before the next episode of Film Freaks with a Z at the end. Make sure you're not spoiled. Don't want any spoilers going around for a 1995 movie. But also, if you want to join the fan vote, that's going to be live right now. You can swing over to my Twitter account if you're listening to this episode on the weekend of its release, and you can vote for our movies. I'll just go over them again real quick. We got Dune, Hard Boiled, The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, and The Irishman. You can pick one of those 4 movies to watch, and we will review it for you. Is there one that you guys want to win in particular? Not to sway the vote or anything.
Well, I'm
not
personally
the.
feeling hard-boiled.
It's the good, the bad, and the weird, not the ugly.
No, it's
It's
the
No,
weird.
the bad,
it's an
and the
Asian
weird.
one.
Yeah.
Just like a.
Oh,
It
it's the
came
second
out.
one.
Yeah, it came out in like 2008.
Yep.
It's not a second one. It's just similar in name, but nothing else is
Yeah.
similar about the movie.
It's not. Yeah, it's not.
It's not a
anything
sequel.
to do.
No.
Okay.
It's completely different. We've had that one on the list since the beginning, so it shouldn't
Yeah.
be too much of
Wow.
a surprise that it's got a different name.
Yeah, I've wanted to watch that one for a long time, but never have gotten around to it. But I'd probably want Dune to win just because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, Dune sounds cool. Like a good movie.
Yeah, here it's pretty good. So
All right.
Cool.
Well, does anyone have anything else they want to say before we end the show?
Well, of course. Clean your
sure.
ass.
Yeah, clean your ass.
Clean your ass.
All right, clean your ass. I am Yemmy Burton. And I've been here with
Trouble waffles.
Tay, where's my truck-mation?
And Kellis Lightning.
and we are Film Freaks with a Z. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Callus, will your lightning be blue or would it be red?
Do you even have to ask that?